On my layout, although I enjoy collecting original Lionel pieces, I like to take a few inexpensive pieces and modify them to either make them look more realistic or more interesting. I took a Lionel 6357 caboose and I thought I would add a brakeman figure holding a lantern, and I thought it might be more interesting to see if I can't light it with a small light bulb. Maybe a grain of rice might fit. Well, I think a real fine character for the caboose man would be Artista's number 1109 brakeman figure. And then I used a Model Power number 153 grain of rice bulb. Any small switch, either toggle or slide switch, would do the trick. And then I, of course, used a Radio Shack AA battery holder to keep our battery in position inside the caboose. I took the little figure and I took the smallest drill bit and put it in my pin vise just to get a starter hole into the lantern section. It seems like I'm almost through. There. It made it through, so now I'm going to gently back off and just keep twirling a few more times to widen up the hole. If you can see this hole dead center into the lantern. Well, we're going to try this bulb in. This may not be big enough just yet, but let's try it. Yeah, it made it through, so we're okay. I have some medium set super glue here, so this gives you a little bit of working time and also allows to fill in any gaps. It does a pretty good job of holding that into place, so it should be dry in just a minute or so. Well, let's give our light a test here to make sure before we install him that we have an operating light bulb. So I'll test one end to one end of the battery and the other end to the other side. Yeah, there, it seems to light. Well, the next step then would be to position our brakeman in such a way that it would be an interesting figure, and then we can decide where to put the small hole for the wires so they would be somewhat hidden and out of view. This step looks like a good place for him. So then the wires should go behind him and into the caboose wall in the back. So I'll make a small hole somewhere about waist high to him, and that should camouflage the wires well. So I'll remove the cab from the frame and find a waist high position and begin my twist drill. Now let's try our wires and make sure the hole was wide enough. Yes, they seem to make it through. Now we don't want to glue our brakeman in position just yet, because we'll be tugging on the wires as we join them to the battery and the slide switch. Well, the next step is to make the hole for our slide switch. So grab a pencil and see if I can measure up here how big our hole has to be. I'll just make a line there and a line here. Now, of course, the hole can be a little bit larger than the actual base of the slide switch because we have two screw holes here that our screws will hold the switch into place. Now we'll make our joining lines. And of course, you would like to keep your switches close to the end of the caboose so it'd be easy to handle with your fingers. So I'll make a line across about right there. And this looks to me like maybe about 1/4 of an inch, but doesn't have to be exact. So I'll just make another line right there. Well, now that we have our pencil lines in place, the next step, of course, is to begin cutting the hole. So before beginning cutting, I should mention that you must always wear safety glasses for any work like this. Well, I've made my 4 passes with my cutting disc, and it's just about through except for the corner, so I'm going to use a screwdriver here and do a little bit of prying. So there. I should mention before I test fit our slide switch that you can certainly use a toggle switch which can be mounted with just a single large drill hole. And now we're ready to test fit the base of our slide switch. There, it seems to fit. Now that we know the base of the slide switch will fit through our hole, we're ready to mark the holes for the screws that will hold the switch in place. Now with the front mounting plate of our slide switch in position, I'm going to mark with a pencil the screw hole positions. So the last step here is simply driving the screw in all the way and fastening the switch to the frame. Yeah, it seemed to work okay. So the next step would be to fasten our battery holder. This can be done with double-sided sticky tape or perhaps some glue. One wire of the battery holder should go to one terminal of the switch, and the other wire of the battery holder should go to our grain of rice light bulb in our brakeman. Now the final connection is the other wire from our light bulb to the other terminal of our slide switch. Well, now that we have our terminals connected, we can test our slide switch. There. Our grain of rice red light bulb lights up in our brakeman. So our slide switch is operating. Now that I have the caboose back on its frame, I want to gently guide any excess wire in through the hole. Try to hide the wire. That seems to be about all the slack of wire that I can use here. Now the last and final step is to glue our little brakeman into his final position. Well, his feet will rest on the very last step, so I'll position him there, and I'll rest his right arm against the caboose body, and we'll just tack some right there and some right up under his elbow. Hold him in position for a minute and allow the glue to set. Voila! So this little brakeman with his lantern will add just one more point of interest and something a little bit exciting to your layout.